Alexa Chalnick is a composer you may not have seen on the stages of Broadway yet, but you likely have seen her on your phone. Alexa has achieved notoriety through her various social media platforms, including her TikTok, which currently boasts almost 1 million followers. Her skyrocket to the national news came in the form of her songwriting challenges, a kind of musical Mad Libs in which she asks her followers to fill in the musical and lyrical blanks. She she is the new head of composition and music director for the Averno Township, a multi-dimensional universe that has produced 4 interconnected musicals to date. With a recent profile in the New York Times and almost 60,000 followers on Instagram, hop on the Averno train now so you can say you were there from the beginning. Welcome to the show, Alexa.
Thank you so much for having me. Oh man, that intro. I want to meet myself.
You've done quite a lot. It's very impressive.
Yeah.
You know, we actually know Alexa from our college, Ithaca College. That is how we met. I met Alexa over the summer before freshman year on a bus, and it was a very fun interaction. And now we're back. Now we're here. So she's been doing incredible, crazy things since then. And we started with your TikTok. So how did you get into TikTok? Every single person we've talked to so far for this podcast has said that it's really like a new frontier for musical theater writing. That's where all of the cool up and coming people are. So how did you get into it?
Wow. Well, my story is a little bit of a funny one. I was always very nervous to put anything of myself out there in a recorded manner, just because, I'm such a perfectionist. And I think that's a good thing sometimes, being able to look at your work and critique it and know, okay, I'll do this next time or blah, blah, blah. But I never felt comfortable enough posting any video of mine. But then funny enough, I stressed myself out so much at the end of senior year that I ended up actually one of my my vocal folds swelled, and then one of them went back to normal, but the other one was still a little weak, I guess, not anything crazy, but I just had to take it easy. So now I'm stuck in a practice room my freshman year of college as a vocal major, but I can't sing for the full amount of time I'm supposed to because I need to be resting my voice. So I have all this extra time and I'm bored and I'm freaking out because I don't have my voice. And that's always been the way that I've expressed myself always. And so it's funny how it took me throwing all the training that I had out the window and just sitting down and being like, whatever, it doesn't even matter, making these funny little videos, literally just things that I had made up while sitting there bored in the practice room that I didn't really think anyone would, care to see. For me, it was more just going to be like a little, I don't know, blog of my own mental destruction within this practice room. But it turned out people really enjoyed the content and it made me excited every day to go to the practice room and write. It was interesting how I'd always put so much of my self-worth in my voice, and when I didn't have that, I had to find some other way to express myself, and that's actually how I found songwriting. So none of this would have been possible if not for that time in my life, which looking back was probably the darkest time, but without it I would not be where I am today.
Well, I'm sure there's some saying about the light comes after the dark, but I can't remember it at this present moment.
Maybe that is the saying, light comes after the dark.
The sentiment is all the same. So you mentioned those songwriting challenges that you sort of came up with in that practice room. As you put those out there and have been putting those out there over the past, however long you've been doing this, what do you see coming out of that community there? What do you see as the output, the user generated output there?
Oh goodness. I mean, so many different ways and things. It just invites such a unique form of creativity. And I love it how you're able to, you almost get like sucked into them because you can't only watch one, you have to go and watch all the others. Right. And it's amazing to see, how a ton of different people can look at one video and see it differently, come up with a different idea for it and make a whole story behind it. I think it's just a testament to, people's individuality and how you don't necessarily need to, be some sort of crazy, amazing singer to just have a creative idea, and to just post that. It could be anything. You could rap, you could just speak your idea. There are people who don't even want to put their voice on, so they just project the lyrics. And there are people who then see those lyrics, get inspired, and duet that video singing the lyrics. So it's an amazing way to connect a giant community together. And I think that, I say this all the time, but I don't believe my platform would make sense without the audience there. My videos tend to be very they wouldn't just make sense if you only watched my videos. You have to click the sound and you have to watch everyone's duets for them to make sense. And I think that my platform's really unique in that way, in which it just invites people to take part in the action as opposed to just watching me do it. It's sort of an invitation to take part in this, creative world. So it's neat.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I personally, I don't know. I've been talking to Connor about this because I don't have TikTok, and I have been avoiding it simply because I know the suck it would be on my time. But now I feel like I kind of have to get one because everyone's talking about it, and it almost feels like a work thing at this point, that I need to be like watching all of these new writers, and all of just this little corner of TikTok is so fascinating to me. Like I have watched some of the duets on your videos, like just on YouTube, and people really do a lot of different things. People are just like funny, like they just say funny stuff in the background, and some people are writing these really deep, like intense lyrics and songs. So it really does run the gamut. But you said you haven't been writing for that long. So who has influenced you most when you do sit down at the piano and start that writing process?
Oh goodness. Jason Robert Brown, definitely, as well as Stephen Sondheim. I love just the wordplay and the way in which they're able to, oh, my puppy, the way in which I feel like the music is always reflecting what's happening at the moment. Not only is it, a fun tune that gets stuck in your head, but there's a lot of musical depth to their pieces, I believe. As they both are, composers as well as lyricists. And I think that's what makes why I feel so connected to their work. Also, like, I've always loved musical comedy. So like Tim Minchin, who even wrote like Groundhog Day, as well as Bo Burnham. I've always been such a fan of Bo Burnham. Not that my writing style is similar to his, but these are just people that I have looked up to as far as, oh man, to write like that, to be able to encapsulate such depth into something that's also so entertaining, it's incredible. So those are definitely my biggest inspirations while writing. So it is definitely more of a musical theater front mixed with being, something that's also entertaining that people would like and enjoy. So it's not just like, let me slap a message on your forehead, but like, let's travel through this together in a very entertaining way that will have it stuck in your brain for a while.
Sorry, Lou, I'm going off script and we're following the Bo Burnham thread here.
Yeah! Oh!
I love this man so much. I watched Inside about 17 times. Eighth Grade is my favorite film ever made. I'm trying to cop his look here.
Honestly, you're yes.
Thank you.
I see it.
Thank you. I'm getting there. What do you like so much about Bo Burnham? I just want to talk about Bo Burnham.
Oh my goodness. Honestly, I think that the thing I love most about Bo Burnham is how and again, I don't know him personally, but at least my perception of Bo Burnham and sort of like what he represents to me is not letting the media change the art that he was doing. I mean, even in his whole we think we know you, that whole thing, how the agent says, like, listen, you got to make it like the Bo Burnham brand needs to stay alive. It doesn't matter if the content's good, just get it out there and do all these things. But I think that the way in which he's managed to stay so true to himself and not put out art unless it's something that he's really seriously passionate about, and just the fact that, again, he never, at least, in my eyes, changed like who he was on when there was so much pressure to fit the mold of, what an entertainer should be. I'm very fortunate that my parents have always been very supportive of me in the arts, but I also think that, it's caused them to be very involved in everything that I'm doing. Every video I post, my whole family watches it. My grandparents watch it. There was one video where I even just talked about like trying to lucid dream, and I don't know if like spirit guides or whatever. And my mom got a call from my grandma saying how my grandma was concerned about me and wants to like come down and make sure everything's okay. And sometimes I do feel like I need to stay this like, hi, I'm Alexa, and very friendly. And it's scary to sometimes go to those, I don't want to say dark places, but the real depths of the human consciousness and what it could be, I think scares a lot of people. And when we think about art and entertainment, especially now, it's very much like, oh, let's forget about those problems. Let's make a Mean Girls the musical and like Ratatouille and like just things to just like distract us and have fun. That's like, I feel like what art's become. And the world has become so dark that art that actually portrays what really goes on is like, we don't see too much of that anymore. I don't know if what I'm saying is like fully making sense, but I think that Bo Burnham is able to do exactly what I was saying, not just create art for the sake of distraction, but to create art for the sake of like holding a mirror up to society and being like, look, like, yeah, this is funny. Ha ha ha. Look, you know? So I think that's what's so incredible about his art and what I would really love to do. And again, I think it's hard to really do that when I'm still like under my parents' roof. And I think once I'm away at college, it'll be much easier to write whatever I want and know that I'm not going to have my parents knocking on my door being like, what did you mean by this lyric? Or, you know, like, yeah. So that's what I love about Bo Burnham, how he's able to stay so just truthful to that and not give in to just like creating just entertainment for the sake of it, which I mean, sometimes some of his stuff is really just funny. Like his song, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, but like, hey, I feel like, you know, feeling like a man. Yeah. Like that's
Yeah, I know
funny,
what you're talking
you know? But while it's funny, like there is a deeper meaning to it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I could go on a huge rant, but
that song, I promise we'll move on soon, Lou. But I
loved Inside. I could talk about Inside. Yeah, but anyway, continue.
That whole song that you just described is, yeah, it's so funny and just in random, but he's describing his depression. Like he puts on this guise of performance to portray his actual feelings, and there's just so many levels of performer and real person, and he's so hard to unpack, and he's pretty like one of the only artists in this world actually changed my perception of society and has changed the way I interact with it. So yeah. I love Bo Burnham.
What a guy, truly. Yeah, I think people also overuse, we're just in this tangent now, but people really overuse, I think, the branding of dark comedy these days. I think a lot of people just, when there are elements of both drama and comedy, will say, oh, it's a dark comedy. Like, get into this dark comedy. Because, like, I don't know. It's just like something that people like to brand things as now. But I think Inside really is the encapsulation of the best of what an actual dark comedy can be. Because it has those elements so interwoven together. I think that's the key. It's not just that it has like both sad things and funny things. It's that the sad things and funny things are one thing together.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
But anyway,
anyway,
as we are moving
back to the subject of our interview.
Yeah. You've really talked about how Bo Burnham has inspired you, like as a writer. So what do you want as a writer in this life? Like, where do you see your dreams and aspirations going in the future? Yeah, I mean, I know that's a huge question.
No. I mean, it's pretty open-ended, honestly. I've always wanted to write and star in my own musical. I can't believe it's happening with this podcast musical for Averno. So I don't really know. I feel like I'm like entangled where it's like, what happens? And then I just need Flynn to be like, you'll find a new dream. It's like, okay, sure. But I would love to, again, just stay on this role of combining music and art, whether that be in the form of musicals, whether that be in the form of just little songs that I write and create. I'd love to write for Disney eventually. I would love to even voice a character for Disney. I'd be the happiest person ever if I could do that. And then just performing as much as I could. Now my whole TikTok page is making me think about just after college, just getting a van and living the van life, just writing songs for my van and traveling in the van and traveling the world. Basically writing music, maybe even like directing something one day. I make a lot of It's so funny. When I was younger, I was obsessed with iMovie, and I have all these little movies that I made. And it's nice because now all of a sudden, when when this whole thing with TikTok happened, and now it's like, oh, I should make YouTube videos. I already sort of knew the style of that. So I'd love to maybe even direct something one day. The real answer is I'm not quite sure. We're just going to like shoot for the stars and hope we land somewhere among that vicinity. So I don't know.
Very
Find
nice.
out.
Very
I don't
nice.
know is a good answer. It's
Yeah.
no one knows when we're sitting here 20. So
Of
yeah.
So you mentioned Averno. So how would you describe Averno to like a boomer who has never interacted with it?
Oh gosh, I feel like that's sort of like all I do now because none of my friends live near here. So I'm hanging out with like all my parents' friends, and they're all like, so what's this thing you're doing? It's hard to describe, but I think the best way that I could do it is that Morgan Smith, an incredible writer, came up with the idea for this town called Averno, a very small, mysterious town. And within this town, Morgan has written a ton of intertwining stories that all take place over different forms of media. So some of them are songs, some of them are poetry, some of them are short films, a lot of them are musicals. And there are kind of a set of characters that you see take place in all these stories. And some of the stories actually help tell these characters' stories. So my particular story within this town of Averno is that, or wait, do you want for me to go into this whole spiel yet? I know you just asked about what Averno is.
No,
Okay,
please.
so
Yeah, keep going.
yeah. So my story is this young girl moving to Averno, which never really happens. No one new ever comes to Averno. It's a strange thing. And basically my character just notices all the strange things about the town and recognizes their, I guess, just strangeness, and then of course just gets caught up in everything within the town, and it gets it goes to sort of like a similar, not Bo Burnham dark, but it sort of goes to a dark-ish place, which is funny because we've named it Kitty, and it does start off very like hi, my name's Kitty, it's a nickname, but whatever, we just moved to this town. And then while she's there, it gets a little, the darkness kind of seeps in through the walls, and you sort of see how this town and the experiences within it morph the mind of this young girl. So it's really, really neat. It's so fantastic. Morgan is a genius. I highly recommend checking it out. It's really neat.
That seems like it would be a really great gateway into Averno then. I mean, if this character is someone who has never experienced the world before, maybe someone else out there who has also not experienced the world before would like to come in through this podcast musical. I think that's kind of a cool parallel there, as well as you're new to Averno, right? I mean, I don't know when you ended up as the head of composition, but how did you get involved, and what was your kind of first impression, like entering this thing that's growing and evolving right now?
Definitely. I think I've been on the team for maybe a year now, which is a little crazy to think about. But essentially, Morgan, who created this world, reached out to me via Insta DM and said, hey, I saw your TikToks. I love the little fun songs that you've written. I have this world, Averno. I'd love to see about maybe partnering together on a musical, especially because I feel like a lot of the content that we have musically tends to be a little dark, and I love your light comedic sense that you bring to the music. I'd love to maybe get a character who's like new to Averno and is all before the town consumes her. So that's what we decided to do. And then one of the amazing things about Averno too, and that I'll say, and I usually say this within the speech too, is that it's amazing because nearly everyone on the team is a part of the LGBTQ plus community. And so it's really amazing to not only have this incredible team, but in Averno, all the stories share those experiences and those stories. So it's amazing not only to have a wonderful team, just, representing this group, but to have the art also portray like accurate representations of these groups, since they're created by people within the group. So it's really, really amazing and fantastic. And so, oh man, I lost my train of thought. I was talking about Averno and how I got onto the team. Oh yeah. So what's amazing is not only is, this art so inclusive, but everyone on the team is college age and younger. Morgan just graduated college. Morgan's partner, Jamie, I think is maybe a year old than Morgan, but they're the oldest people on the team, really. Everyone is very, very young, high schoolers, people who are still in college, that really make up the music team, the artists, people who are just inspired and want to get lost in this world, really make up the team. And so I'm probably one of the older musicians on the team, and especially working with Morgan on the musical. Morgan was sort of quick to see that I'm very into organizing and I need everything to be very, very just clear, and I'm just a very organized person. And so Morgan was the one who was sort of running everything, and to make it easier on themselves, Morgan uses they, them pronouns. So to make it easier on themselves, they decided to sort of delegate, okay, let's make one of the artists in charge of organizing the artists and one of the musicians in charge of sort of making everything's in charge of making sure everything's okay there. So if a musician has a question, they don't need to come to me, they can go to that person. So that's how I became the head of the music department. Thank you. My mother just gave me water. Yeah. And then as far as my other duties go for Averno, I hold weekly meetings where we sort of just discuss where we are, and we do a lot of shares. And then also every Wednesday and Friday, I will sort of just do like office hours. So anyone who wants to come in and share what they're working on, or I'll share what I'm working on, just so we could bounce ideas off each other and get feedback. So it's really, really nice. It's such a fun, inclusive, wonderful community that I feel very honored to be a part of every day. So that's sort of a nice summary of, I think, what I do in Averno and what Averno is, I guess. There are probably still a lot of questions, and even on the website it says, are you confused? Yeah, so are we, because nothing like Averno's ever existed. So it's constantly, it's constantly changing and morphing. It could be anything. So yeah.
And I think that's sort of what initially drew me to Averno is, musicals and musical development often feels like, a bunch of rich white men in a room who get to, we were talking about this on an earlier interview we had for this series. A composer said that, it's all these rich donors who get to fall in love with the musical first. And I love that Averno gives a tight-knit, devoted community the opportunity to fall in love with new, original, actually good musical theater first, and kind of eschews the whole development process. And to that end, I mean, how do you see this sort of transmedia universe fitting into the current musical theater landscape that we have?
Oh, goodness. I mean, that's a great question. In a sense, I'm not sure. I mean, you can look at each of the musicals that come from Averno, excuse me, individually, but because they're all so interconnected, I think that, there's so many times when I've seen a musical and I just wish that there was a sequel like we see in so many movies. But sometimes in musicals, how often is there going to be, a musical that goes on Broadway, Ratatouille, and it's so great that they create a Ratatouille 2. It's kind of just like you got
Ratatouille.
Ratatouille. Oh my
no.
gosh, exactly, Ratatouille. But I think the amazing thing about Averno is you could listen to one of the musicals, fall in love with it, and now there's still a whole nother world of content that you can sort of get lost in, and you can live in it. And I think that the escapism that it gave me during quarantine was really a saving grace, especially just in the musical that I got to write as well. And I think it's fun because it isn't just a moment that you can get lost in, but it's an entire world, which really says something. Because there's just so many deep layers to everything. There are even things in my podcast musical that, if you really have dived into Averno, you might be familiar with, but if not, there's so many things to explore. There's an entire language that they just created that they now have a course where you can learn this language that exists in Averno. It's just like a never ending, sinkhole sounds negative. Like, what's a positive? A never ending, beautiful pathway to just a ton of art within this world. It's like its own digital Disneyland, which is so fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so fascinating to me because for the more I don't know, academically minded people out there, people are talking about this as like transmedia. Like the transmedia
Yeah,
universe is like the trend in content creation now. If you look at Marvel, I mean, I think there's
true.
an easy
Yeah,
comparison to say like something
definitely.
as huge and gigantic as Marvel is the same sort of deal because they have movies, they have TV shows, they have cartoons, they have lunchboxes with these characters on them. Like you can really get into and live in an entire world here. And I think Averno is creating the same sort of thing, except it hasn't been corrupted by too much capitalistic gain,
Yep.
you know?
Yes,
Because
exactly.
it's just all of these young people who just really genuinely want to create visual art. They want to create music. They want to create all of this stuff and provide their own little community. And I don't know. I this isn't really a well, it's kind of turning into a question, I guess, but what do you think Averno's success kind of says about our generation, if anything? And do you think there will be more stuff like this coming out of Gen Z specifically?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think that more than anything, people just want to feel seen. And I think that, as much as all these, excuse me, big corporations and the movies and the TV shows they're producing, as much as they'd like to think that they're reflecting, what's going on right now, they can really only have, I mean, it's still older people that are putting on these things. There's not much art that's coming out specifically from the mouths of young people living in it and experiencing it. I think that the things that are coming out now that are the representation of the times are things that were created by people who are maybe in their 30s right now, and it's a representation of their time when they had it. But there's not a lot of art coming out right now, which is I think why so many people are feeling so seen with Inside and Bo Burnham, is because it's art created by people in the now, which again I think is why also TikTok is just completely just blasted out of the waters, and there are so many people who enjoy it because they feel so seen with the content. It's content created by just regular people out there right now. And I think that, as we've seen with success on TikTok and with Bo Burnham's Inside, I think we're going to start getting a lot of art that hasn't been, filmed by people that have gone to film school for 4 years and they gotten a 2-year internship and then shadowed someone for so and so. So now everything's very exact and perfect and it has to follow these guidelines. I think we're going to be getting a lot more, I don't know if avant-garde is necessarily the word for it, but a lot more experimental theater and theater that's not almost glorifying the world anymore, but more so just being like, here it is. This is it. This is what you get. Hello. you know?
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
I can only theorize.
Yeah. I do have one more thing on this. I in like looking through Averno's website, it's super clear to me that Averno is really prioritizing not just accessibility in terms of like here is all of this stuff that you can have for free, but also in terms of you are in the kind of categories of people that Averno will hire, quote unquote, to like join and help out are people who can help make sure that content is inclusive, not just like
Yeah.
physically accessible, but you know, I assume that kind of area would be, oh, like, are you like a person with disabilities that wants to, come in and see how this section of Averno could be the most inclusive and welcoming to people from all different backgrounds and abilities and all of that. So I'm super impressed with that, and I'm hoping that that's indicative of our generation making stuff as well.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. I mean, Averno is organized, at least it's organized through Discord a lot. And there's an entire Discord server just for accessibility where there are people working on making sure that all the texts are easily readable for anyone, and making sure that the photos all have captions underneath them to describe what exactly it is, and to make sure that even the songs now we're working on having the songs that existed pre-recorded and sung in all these different languages so that even people who don't necessarily speak English can still find a home in Averno. It's all about the whole idea of Averno is sort of, a welcome home. It's a comfort, it's a community. And so they really do fantastic work in making sure that it is accessible and can be home to any and everyone who wants to, seek it out or find, what's the word I'm looking for? Not grace in this world, but to find just like comfort and safety and find where they feel represented in it.
Yeah, that's what feels so special about this and so important about this project to me as well. But now, segue. We have at the end of every episode, we do a little Broadway Would You Rather with our guests. So that's what we're gonna do right now.
This is our signature bit.
This is it. The smoothest transition always.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, you start.
Okay.
See, as you can see, we're very organized here. So would you rather take care of Audrey 2 from Little Shop or ingest the squip from Be More Chill?
Audrey 2. I feel like I'd try to understand Audrey 2. See if we could come to sort of a mutual agreement on I don't know, whatever.
That's how they get you. Seymour tried to understand. Did you not hear the last song? Don't feed the plants.
I have a shirt that says whatever they offer you, don't feed the plants, and it's one of my favorite shirts.
No,
anyway.
I would also choose Audrey.
Love to talk to a plant. I feel like that'd be so cool. Get their perspective on everything that's going on right now.
Yeah,
totally.
That's true.
All right. Now this one, I feel like we already know your answer to it because I don't think we anticipated talking about Bo Burnham as much as we did. But I will say, would you rather write a new musical with Star Kid or Bo Burnham?
Bo Burnham.
Yeah, I figured.
That is honestly my dream. My dream is meet Bo Burnham and possibly write my dream. See, another one of my dreams, my goals. They're all over, but I would love that so much. Oh.
Me too. I just want to take a picture with him and there's a height difference. But anyway.
I just want to hug him, cry a little, say thank you.
Say thanks.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, truly. Would you rather compose the score for a movie musical adaptation or write the book of a jukebox musical?
Oh, do the music for the movie adaptation. I don't think I could. I don't know if I could write a book. I mean, never say never, but I don't know. I think musical storytelling is where my strong suits lie.
Right.
Totally. All right, and this is our last would you rather, and it's the longest and most complicated. So buckle up.
Gotcha.
Would you rather see as much live theater as you want for free, but never be able to listen to the music at home, or have unlimited access to archive recordings, well-produced bootlegs, cast albums, etc., but never be able to see live theater again?
Whoa. Oh my goodness. That is a great question. Yikes. I mean, now because there are not many theaters and I'm stuck inside, I guess if I really had to choose one right now, it would be to have the archives. But if theater was still up and running, the answer would definitely be live theater, especially because once a tune gets stuck in my head, I'm pretty sure I'd be able to come home and play it. And also, since I play the piano, I didn't hear any rules about just getting the score and being able to play it on my own time,
You've gamed the system.
Yeah, wow, that's a loophole. I did not think of that loophole. Wow, good one.
I'm impressed. As a final kind of question as we wrap up here, how do you see Averno growing as it goes forward? What paths do you want it to take? What audiences do you want to bring to this project?
Oh, goodness. I mean, all the above. I would just love to see it continue to take the path of truthful storytelling and reflection of the times and being a safe space for anyone who needs it. And I just can't wait to see all that happens with it. Morgan is a fantastic writer and just human soul. And so I feel like anything Morgan touches just turns to gold. So I just anticipate this this world's continuing to grow and blossom. And it's crazy that for a while I was putting so much pressure on my project with Averno, but I think I've realized that it's more of an exciting, like, jump starting area. This is the first musical I've ever written. And since it's a podcast musical, it's actually the size of 3 musicals squashed together. There are so many songs. I feel like I literally wrote 3 musicals. And just the amount of training and the amount of equipment I've been able to learn how to use just through trial and error and working on this project. I feel like it's going to be, I mean, I guess separating from the idea of Averno for a second, just for me as a composer, it makes me really excited to see. I feel like I'm laying the groundwork for all the future projects of Alexa Chalnick and what they could be one day. And, you know, will a lot of them be with Averno? Maybe, who knows? Again, it's very like theoretical up here of I don't fully know what's going to happen, but I am so grateful that my first ever project is with Averno. So grateful about it and so excited for everyone to hear it. I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
When is it coming? Can you tell us the day or
goodness.
no?
So we just started pitching the first I created the official first demo of the first episode. And so we're starting to pitch that, and we'll see who likes it and wants to help us produce it. The goal is for it to be up maybe sometime in September, but there are also a lot of nitpicky things that I know I want to have in it, like sound effect wise, that might make it be a little bit longer than that. But definitely sometime within the next year, it should be out.
Yeah. So we will be some of the first to fire it up. We're excited for it.
Yay!
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show, Alexa, and telling us about all your projects. This was fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you both so much.